Good morning, and thank you all for coming out and joining us this morning. We have an opportunity to recognize a significant moment in our efforts to support and take care of the residents of Montgomery County. I want to start by acknowledging and thanking representatives from Senator Van Hollen's office, Patrick McCarthy, Senator Cardin's office, Ken Reichert, Congressman Sarbanes' office, Vicky Garcia, Congressman Raskin's office, Kathleen O'Connor, and Congressman Trone's office, Ron Washington, and Andrew Donlan. We appreciate your support and all that you've done for us to this point. We're recognizing a milestone in our efforts to protect residents and to ease the economic hardships for tenants and landlords. It's important to note in this moment that the county's efforts did not begin with the federal funding that we're operating under now. Early on, the county executive and the county council recognized that this was going to be a long-term problem and a long-term challenge, and that there were urgent needs from the very early days of the pandemic. So they gave us our marching orders and they gave us some support to get started and to get us to the point where we are now. There's a lot more that has to be done in this process, and a lot more need that's going to be out there for many, many months to come. But it's important for this moment for us to take a moment to pause and look up and recognize how far we have come and to figure out how we best move forward from this point. So to get us started, I'm going to ask County Executive Mark Elrich to come and make opening remarks and give us the message for the day. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to thank everybody for coming here today. Talk a little bit about what we're doing with rental assistance. Montgomery County has been providing rental assistance for people impacted by COVID since May 11th, 2020. So it's over a year of assistance. Within 2 months of the state of emergency was announced, and well before other jurisdictions and the federal government. We understood what the impact of this was going to be early on. To date, we've delivered over $32 million in direct assistance. We've quickly pivoted with the establishment of the ERA program to align with Treasury requirements and incorporate everything we learned from the previous two rounds. Our application portal opened less than 2 months after the Biden administration's first rental relief program guidance was released, and we have 95 staff members working on the program, and they become experts in the new program in a matter of weeks and have worked around the clock to support these families. It is always interesting working with the federal government, and the regulations around this have been more complicated for everybody to deal with and require more verification than some of the work we had done in the past. Since May 2020, we've helped over 5,700 households with rent payments, ensuring that they can stay in their homes. We're halfway toward our 65% spending goal and on track to meet the Treasury expectations, which set a certain expectation for how much we had to spend, I think by the end of September, or the beginning of September. Okay, the beginning of September. We've worked through multiple Treasury changes and guidance to ensure our program continues to comply with their program requirements. What we don't want is an audit and then clawing back money. That would be most unfortunate, and so we're making sure that our work complies. We've processed over 40% of the applicants received. We've still have 60% of our applicants waiting for an answer. That's too many, and we're pushing ourselves to work faster. I will say that we've been working with the Sheriff's Department. One of the things that changed is that the Sheriff's Department is now giving us a list of who's going to be evicted, who they've gotten directions to evict. And this is important because if we just simply went through the application pile, it's totally disconnected from who's in front of a judge. Taking these cases, getting the notification of these cases, lets us find out who's already filed an application and then prioritize that application so we can provide assistance before they get evicted. If they haven't applied for an application, haven't filled one out, we can get them an application and get them to apply for assistance, and we can contact the landlords and tell them that we've either got an application or we're getting an application, and they can look forward to assistance. So this actually is a more directed approach, and we're trying to run ahead of the eviction, something we wouldn't be able to do if all we were doing is going through the pile, because we wouldn't know when the cases were in front of the court. To the landlords, I want to thank you for your patience. Many landlords have been very patient with this. We know you have bills to pay, and we're trying to get these funds to you as quickly as we can. and we appreciate their responsiveness and being in working with us. And we've asked them to hold off evictions when in eviction proceedings when they know that we can get them help. And any landlord now can proactively complete an application for any resident of theirs. So if landlords have residents, the landlords can complete the application, provide get the tenants to give them all the relevant information, and sign the form authorizing the landlord to submit. So we've kind of streamlined this process. We know there's some landlords who are anxious to be able to go about it this way. For the residents, we know this is extremely challenging time for you. And we know that from what we hear. This is extraordinarily difficult. Unfortunately, we have too many residents who aren't showing up for their court cases. And if you don't show up for your court case, you're going to get an eviction notice. They are ruled in summary against you, and it's not a protection not to show up. And a lot of people think when they hear moratorium that it's a blanket moratorium. It's not a blanket moratorium. So you have to actually engage in this process. And so we continue to work with our partners to let our residents know that we have money available, that we're committed to getting to each and every application. We're trying to drive the message through our partners that you need to get your application in. Do not take the court process for granted. And if you've already applied, please look for outreach from our caseworkers. One of the things we have to do is if an application's incomplete, we're not throwing them out. We're trying to contact the resident who filled out the application and fill in the blanks. That is a time-consuming process when you have to go through an application and figure out what additional information you need. But we're committed to doing that. And lastly, know your rights. The eviction moratorium doesn't mean evictions can't happen. Just means that you have an affirmative defense. And please attend, like I said before, attend your court hearings. And there's free legal assistance available in the courthouse. Complete the CDC declaration order if your inability to pay rent is due to COVID, related financial hardships, and give a copy to your landlord and bring one to court. Do bring your documentation to court to support this. The eviction is a legal process. It requires a court hearing and a court judgment and an eviction executed by the sheriff. And this is where the sheriff giving notice of evictions has helped us try to stay ahead of the eviction wave. If you have questions about your rights, contact our Office of Landlord-Tenant Affairs. If you do receive a red and white notice from the sheriff's office and have not yet heard from one of our caseworkers, please email us at hss@montgomerycountymd.gov. That's hss@montgomerycountymaryland.gov. MD instead of Maryland, sorry. Or call 311 and let us know. We're going to continue to work around the clock to get these funds released. We want to absolutely minimize the amount of damage that is done to this community. We want the landlords to be able to get their rent. They have a vested interest in this because the money we put out is going to go to them in rent payments. If they simply evict the tenant, they're going to lose the rent payments. So we're encouraging landlords to work with us and tenants to do their part to make sure they're not making any mistakes that'll cost them their ability to stay in their apartments. And with this, I will turn it back over to Raymond.
Thank you, County Executive Elridge. This is in the rush to introduce folks and get started. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Raymond Kroll. I'm the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services for Montgomery County. The pandemic has impacted not only the residents of the county, but it has also impacted the landlords. Especially those landlords that are committed to providing affordable housing for many of our residents in the county. We want to thank them for that effort and for their ongoing partnership in addressing the rent relief and providing rent relief that's needed to keep both those housing opportunities available to our residents and to keep our residents in those homes so that they can stay safe and we can get through this pandemic together. We want to take a moment to hear from Cesar Sevilla, who's one of those landlords who can talk with us about the experience of landlords and the importance of this partnership in this effort. So hold on. Cesar.
Hi, my name is Cesar Silva. I represent the landlord. This program actually, unfortunately, during the pandemic, our residents, we have approximately almost like 620 apartment complex. Apartment units, and each one of the tenants actually was affected by this pandemic. Therefore, the program that they mentioned actually works. It's an excellent program. Besides myself, actually, I spend a lot of time with the tenants one-on-one. Most of them, they don't have access to the internet, but if you have a laptop and connected to the Wi-Fi, it's pretty easy process. Since the funds are released, we get notice from the county, and it's pretty much like a very, very easy steps. I just want to appreciate it and very grateful that the county is doing this for the tenants, because unfortunately it's being impacted tremendous way, and they don't have actually the funds to pay back the rent. With this program allows them to pay back and also to get back on the feet, which is very important. Majority of our tenants, they actually are hourly employee, which is really hard for them to fall behind rent, which is like $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 or $12,000, which is added up. So I just want to appreciate it and be grateful that the county is doing everything they can to help these tenants. On behalf of myself and my company, we are doing the best we can to help the tenants, and we see the results. We see some tenants, actually, we have almost like 50 tenants that fall behind. So half of them already, thanks to the caseworker, they are behind this program. We'll be able to see the funds coming in, and this work is actually the tenants. They are back on the feet and they start, the new life again. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate it, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Mr. Silva. Finally, we want to ask Amanda Harris, who is the Chief of Services to End and Prevent Homelessness, to come up and talk with us about where we are, where we've come, how far we've come, and what's next, and what's ahead for us. On a personal note, I want to just say thank you. Amanda's part of my team in HHS, and she and her team have worked tirelessly since the beginning of this pandemic to try to keep people housed, to try to keep them safe and secure in their homes, and to give them information and to work with the landlords to make sure that people were safe and had stable housing. I know what keeps Ms. Harris up at night, and this is one of the things it does. And so it's a piece of pride and appreciation that I want to express for Ms. Harris. So she'll come and talk with you a little bit about the program and give you some more details on the program. Amanda?
All right. Thank you, Dr. Kroll, for your kind words. I just, and thank you, Mr. Silva and the county executive. And I just want to remind all of us that, this is not, the COVID rent relief program is not just about pushing millions of dollars out the door as fast as we can. It's about working with and helping real people stay in their homes and supporting our landlords to keep their units available to our most vulnerable residents. We are all humans. We have humans working on this, and we're working with other humans that are experiencing the worst time of their life. Many of the households that we're working with have been surviving almost all their life, and now they're faced with this situation that they've never been in before, and they're scared, and there's a lot of anxiety, and so it takes extra time to be able to listen to their stories and have empathy and not just focus on checking the box and cutting the check. So my message today is directed to the renters of Montgomery County. We are here to help. If you have not applied for assistance, please, please, please do so. This program is not first come, first serve. It is not a lottery. It's based on need. So there is still time and there are still funds available. We've partnered, as the county executive mentioned, we partnered with the local sheriff's office and to get a list of all the households that have a scheduled eviction, and we are doing targeted outreach to those families. So if you got a red and white, that eviction notice that's been posted on your door, don't be surprised if one of our partner agencies comes knocking. They are there to help you, not hurt you. We want to get you the assistance that you need so that you can stay in your home. Our prevention task force can work with you to apply, to complete the application, and then get it prioritized. For tenants that have already applied and are still waiting for a call back, please, please, please be patient with us. We know you're stressed. But we've received more than 7,000 applications, so it does take us time to process. And as long as your status does not say denied, you're still in the queue. We have not forgotten about you, and funds are still available. And if your situation has changed, maybe now you have a court notice or you did get that red and white, please let us know by calling 311, emailing us at hss@montgomerycountymd.gov, or you can use the Need to Reach Us button on the application portal. If you have been denied and got a denial letter and your circumstances have changed, please let us know. We can always reopen your application. And finally, my message to landlords. Rent relief is also landlord relief. We want to get you paid and keep your units occupied. We fully appreciate the financial stress you are under, and we are working as quickly as we can. So again, we ask for your patience. And you can help us move things along by supporting your tenants in completing their application, working with them to get the necessary documents, holding off on filing for eviction. And remember, we can't provide rent relief if the tenant is no longer in the unit. So to conclude, we have picked up the pace. I'm quite proud of our work and my team. And I truly believe that if we all work together, we can ensure people remain stably housed and prevent thousands of evictions. Thank you.
So before we move to question and answer, I just wanted to underscore a couple of things. One is that help is available. This is a long-term problem. It is not going to be solved overnight. There is funding available, and it will be available for many months to come. Do not hesitate to apply. Please seek the help and let us help. We are here to help. I want to acknowledge a couple of things. I want to thank one more time Mr. Silva from Commodore Management for taking the time to come out and share his thoughts with us today. But I also want to take a moment to return to our congressional officers and thank them personally for the work that they have done to make this possible. These are federal dollars we are using, and it would not be possible without the support of our congressional delegation. So I very much appreciate all that you have done, and looking forward to continuing to work with you all in the future. So with that, we are open for question and answers. Yes?
Are you able to paint a picture of who is seeking assistance and who needs assistance so far, I guess, in terms of household size, in terms of geographic location within Montgomery County, particular neighborhoods or subdivisions? Are there any particular areas or populations in which we're seeing disproportionate?
Okay. I'm going to ask Ms. Harris to come up and talk to us about that. Thank you.
I can repeat that.
I think I got it. You're asking about painting a picture of the folks that are applying. Yeah. So most of our applicants, over 70% of our applicants have an AMI under 30%, so extremely low income. We've created a homeless prevention index to identify neighborhoods that we thought were at greatest risk of homelessness, and about 50% of our applicants are coming from those high-need census tracts. In our previous rounds, it was mostly female-headed households and around the age of 40-ish, and that trend continues. 90% of the applicants are people of color. Which makes sense. Unfortunately, the folks that are most likely to get evicted are female-headed households of color.
Thank you. And follow up to that, how long is the eviction list? You said you were able to get in touch with the sheriff's office for this long list of people who received those red and whites. How long is that list?
Oh, that is a good question. When we got the first round, it was around 300. And this week we added 10 additional. So there was a backlog, and we've now gotten those names. And what I will say about that, when we first got the data, only about a quarter of the households identified on that list had actually applied for assistance. And at this point, that's gone up to 40%. So our outreach efforts are working, and we feel like now we're at a place where we can stay on top of it. Amanda Harris. I'm the Chief of Services to End and Prevent Homelessness.
So one of the things I would add to Ms. Harris's comments is that once people have applied for assistance, even though there's an eviction process in motion, we've been able to work with the landlords to put that on hold to give us a chance to work with them, and they have been very cooperative, and we very much appreciate that support. Other questions?
Another clarifying question, the money goes directly to the landlords, right? It doesn't go through the renters onto the landlords?
I think both. It goes both ways. It can go to the tenant, or it can go to the landlord. Mhm. Okay. No other questions? Is that okay? Okay. If there are no other questions, I want to thank you all again, and thanks again to the congressional delegation joining us today, and we will keep pressing forward. Thank you all, and have a safe day.